Welcome to this episode of the Left Behind Game Club. This week we play through Hotline Miami. On our next episode we play through Zombie/ZombiU, so join us for that. And Mo, you got some Discord business to share over here.
Oh yeah, so just so you guys know, we have our Discord channel which is live, and if you want to join the discussion, jump on our website, that's leftbehindgame.club. There's a direct link there to join the Discord channel and join the discussion. Our last Vermintide episode, we got a few people up here that we had a nice time to chat with. Shout out to JSAT and again Pyromancer for jumping on board. We also had several other people as well that we could not leave behind. So feel free to join the discussion and we'll chat with you soon.
But back to Hotline Miami. We did care about the violence, but we didn't really care about the secrets.
Exactly. I did not care about a single. I saw it. I'm like, you can find secrets. I'm like, great. What? I don't care. Like,
do secrets help me kill people better?
Literally, that's exactly it. And I
was like, do secrets mean more guns?
Exactly. That's like.
Do secrets mean more blood?
You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club.
Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and with me today, two friends. The first friend, Michael Ruffolo.
Hello, I'm excited to talk about great games.
I know you are. You always are. That's what I appreciate about you. And our second friend is Moe Murtadi.
Excited to play the Cocaine Cowboy game.
That's exactly what we're going to play. It's Hotline Miami, developed by Dennation Games, which is a portmanteau of programmer Jonathan Soderstrom and artist Dennis Whedon's names.
Fantastic.
Published by Devolver Digital.
So this was the first game I remember ever seeing Devolver Digital be associated with, and it left a lasting impression on me. I've become excited anytime I see Devolver on a game because of this one.
Mike, I remember when, I'm assuming it was when it actually was released, Hotline Miami, you were like super hyped about it. This is when I was just getting into like my Steam world and building my PC and playing on the PC Master Race platform. And you kept saying, Mo, you have to like play this game. Mo, you should get this game. And I'm like, nah, I don't know. It looks kind of like lame. It's like the top view. Just the initial gut reaction. I'll pass.
Yeah.
I can't believe I took this long to play this game.
This is the first time you'd played it?
Never played it.
Yo.
I've been passing it along, and there's been so much hype by you and like a bunch of other people, but I was just like, you know what? I don't need to. And it kind of was put on the back burner. Luckily, this podcast brought it into my life. I wish I would have played it way back when.
Amazing.
So we're going to spoil the whole thing. But why don't
you spoil this game?
Well, there are YouTube videos that think that you can spoil this game.
Okay.
I don't think you can spoil this game. Let's just get right into it. Who wants to set this bad boy up?
Okay, so first I'm going to ask Jacob. You've played this before, right?
I have played this before. So the first time I played it, it was a PlayStation Plus game years ago, and I played it on Vita.
Okay.
So the whole thing, it literally is the only game I played on my Vita. I played one game, and it's Hotline Miami.
It's a great game to play on a Vita.
It is. And there's cross-buy, and I believe there's cross-save as well on it.
Wow.
I think there was on the Vita, so I'm assuming they took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know if the PS4 has cross-save. Because I know it's on PS3 as well, and the PlayStation versions were done by a different studio. They're done by Abstraction Games. I just don't know how the cross save works because I played it the first time on PlayStation Vita, and I replayed it now on the PlayStation 4 on a TV.
Okay, Mo, what did you play it on?
PC on Steam. I don't know where I got it.
Desktop PC.
Yeah. And I used my Logitech controller.
Wait, you used a controller, not a mouse and keyboard?
Yeah, controller.
Wow. Okay.
You bought a new mouse for this.
So I dug up an old mouse that I had because I am poor. And I played it on my overheating, battery not working MacBook Air. And that was an experience.
The one that was just dropped, like right before we started recording
10
this.
minutes ago.
It might be dead. Have you checked it?
I have not.
Okay.
I'm afraid to look.
No, you know what? Now that you brought up the whole... I didn't even think about using my mouse and keyboard when I should have.
You're crazy.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I think in the process of playing this, I'm also playing Hitman. And Hitman, I'm using the controller for. So I just naturally, it was just right next to me. And
that makes sense to me, though.
Yeah, I turned it on, and then my controller was right there, so I just grabbed it from the side, and I just started playing. I never thought, hey, maybe I should switch it to mouse and keyboard.
Wow.
And see, I couldn't imagine playing it on a mouse and keyboard because I played it on the Vita, which has the touchpad, and then the PlayStation 4 controller. Which
what does the touchpad do for you?
The touchpad on both the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 4 touchpad, it helps you move the camera around so you can kind of see beyond your field of vision. Do you have that option
it's
on?
It's a tiny screen.
Tiny screen.
Gotcha.
Oh, do you not have that option on
no,
PC?
I've got a big screen.
On PC, for
my
me,
case, a 13-inch screen.
You would see a little bit farther in front of you if you're facing a direction, so you always saw a little bit more that way than like behind you. So that's kind of how you kind of saw more on PC. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
Okay.
The setup for the game.
So let's set this. Let's set this.
Let's set this thing up.
All right, who's going to be the brave one? Go ahead.
Why don't you try it, Mo?
Okay, so you're pretty much a top-down view of a guy in an abandoned, I guess, apartment of sorts. I don't even remember where you actually do start. And you, for some reason, pick up a telephone. Some phone calls start happening. And some people are like, hey, here's this task you need to do. And they're kind of really weird, mundane tasks. Like, hey, go pick up the groceries from the store. Or like, hey, you know what? You need to go make a delivery. And then you show
They're all
up.
coded.
Yeah, and then you go show up somewhere. And then for some reason, you just have the ability to beat the beep out of everyone. Beat the beep
out of people.
Out of everyone you see, and it's I don't know. It's
you kill everyone.
Everything.
Yeah, in a little violent way. It has a little satisfying feedback of like when you're punching someone, it's like tush tush tush, and then when they explode, it's very visually graphic. Definitely not a children's game.
No.
So to build on that, it is seeped in a neon 80s aesthetic.
So cool.
With cues of like VHS, like tracking signals and massive screen shake, and it is just dripping with style. This game is one of the most stylish games I've ever seen.
And you wouldn't think that, like, because when you kept mentioning it to me earlier on, I looked at it, I'm like, it looks dumb. It looks like very cheap, like graphically. It's like,
I think you're crazy, Mo.
Well, this is the thing, because coming from it, seeing it,
it's
like,
a vibe.
I didn't know what it was, so I see the graphics. I'm like, it's bright, cool, but it's like very pixelated. I want AAA graphics. I want 3D. And once again, I was wrong, completely wrong. It's so pleasing to the eye. And one thing we have yet to bring up, and I think we've done a disservice: the music. Probably
we're going to talk about the music. We're going to talk about the music.
Like, and me and Mike watched a little bit of a little, like, kind of, I don't know, quick documentary on the game itself, and they were talking about it. And like, the coolest thing about that music is like, we'll talk about it later, but just the beat keeps going fast.
And this was the
fast.
Complex documentary, correct?
Right. Yeah, exactly, the Complex one. And it, like, the music kind of keeps you going. You're pumped while you're playing this game, and you don't realize it until you're done. You're like, "Ooh, okay, time to go do some work."
I got a couple vibes from this game. So the first is, remember the first two GTA games? How they were top down? Yep. That's this game.
Yes. Okay. While I was playing this for the second time, not the first time I played it, but this time that I was playing it, I was like, this is exactly what parents think Grand Theft Auto is. Or thought Grand Theft Auto the first few games, when it was a very top-down perspective and you were, stealing cars and shooting guns. That's what parents thought this was,
because the fidelity wasn't there. So like it was implied that like, oh, I'm gonna beat this person up or I'm gonna kill them, but like the fidelity wasn't there, so it just looked like, oh, there's a pixelated bloody mess. But like, yo, this game is ultra violent. Do not let your children play this game.
But and I think this game also piggybacks on some of that lack of fidelity. It's sort of like that, I think, that Hitchcock approach of like, it doesn't show you everything and it allows your imagination to fill in all the gaps way worse than anything they could have actually ever showed you. And that's what this game does with a lot of the violence. Like, you don't see the fingers going into the eyes, but you see a pool of blood underneath the guy's skull as he's like screaming.
Yeah, or like when you're using the baseball bat or the golf club to literally beat the guy's head into a bloody pulp, like you're seeing a swinging motion, but you're not seeing anything else except that pool of blood on the ground.
Or, when you are really close to someone with a small little knife and like you're doing almost like a quick little slice and like, they're done. It's very slow. You don't really see what happens, but you know what happens because of that fidelity you're mentioning.
I also got Miami Vice from this. Like the TV show Miami Vice.
Okay. I thought you were saying Grand Theft Auto Vice.
No, but not Vice City, Miami Vice the show. And also, and this was mentioned, Miami Vice wasn't, but Drive, The movie from a couple years ago, yeah.
Ryan Gosling, Nicholas Winding Refn.
100%. And I'm just like, wow, yeah, those are the three things: GTA, Drive, and Miami Vice. Stories implied. It's based in 1989. Should we start by talking about the look of the game first? It's made in Game Maker, so it's got a very distinct look to me.
So my take on the look is a lot of very bright neon colors, and then they are very desaturated at times.
What do you mean?
So it goes from being very bright and warm, and then you hit a point where everything looks bleak and drab, and all of those bright colors that you know were bright are just very desaturated and are toned down in their vibrance.
Is that the one, like, you're meeting that little trio of, like, villains or whatever? Is that what you're talking about when it dims down?
Or is that the hospital where the colors change completely? Or are you talking like...
So there are multiple points throughout that it changes.
Yeah, but in general, it's very bright and very, like, striking, unless they're trying to set a certain mood or a vibe, where they're, like, kind of dimmed down.
DJ Khaled would say it's a vibe.
It's a vibe, exactly.
It's a vibe.
No, I've not a spoiler alert, but I really had a good time with this game.
Let's talk about the controls.
Okay, so with how I played it with the controller on Steam, one thing I had really trouble with was, like, kind of making sure my guy was facing the direction of an enemy, because like you had to use like the sticks, and there wasn't really a way to kind of, you can lock on to certain people, but most of the time you couldn't see who you're locking onto, because in the level you're at, you can lock on to everyone and switch to them, but you just never knew where they were, how you're going to be going to them, until I figured out, here's a little hot tip if you haven't played Hotline Miami, when you do lock onto them, if someone's coming at you, you can quick lock and quick shoot, like a little double trigger action, which saved my life. Jacob, you're looking at me like you've never done it. So I'm going to explain it to you.
You're cycling between people as you kill them.
Yeah. You know how, like, in Call of Duty, you can do that quick the assist aim or whatever? It's kind of similar to that. So if you stand in a door and, like, waves are coming at you because they heard your gunshots, you can lock onto them. And then as someone's coming in, as soon as you shoot, just auto lock, it'll lock onto the next person because that guy just died. So it's almost like a quick fire with two triggers. And it was like, da, 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 and you just mow down anyone coming into you.
Yeah, because I really struggle with the controls sometimes. Like, I don't know if I used lock on as much the first time I played the game.
I did.
As this time. I used it a lot, but there'd be times where I didn't want to trust the lock on, where I'm just like, oh man, what if two enemies come at me and they come at like slightly different angles? Because if they come at different angles, especially when you get the dogs, like the dogs are what screwed me up. Yeah. If a dog comes and a person comes, you can lock on, but really I don't want to use lock on because I'm just going to like spray and pray.
You just need to wear the mask where the dogs don't attack you.
You know what? That mask
Hold
I
up,
probably use
what?
the most. Wait, don't tell me you didn't know that.
No, I'm going, oh yeah, there was that mask, but I always so I picked up a good mask when I started.
So let's explain the masks.
Yeah. So throughout the game, you pick up a series of masks. You start with a rooster mask, which is like your default Richard, which has no powers.
Get it?
But as you go, oh, I get it.
I was waiting for Jacob to make a little
ding. I'm there.
He's giggling.
I did it.
You got him, guys. Good job, Mike.
Richard. But as you go through the game, each level has 2 additional masks you can pick up. One that you just get for completing, and then another one that's hidden. So usually what I did is I used the owl mask to find the additional mask. Exactly.
I did not care about a single. I saw it. I'm like, you can find secrets. I'm like, great. What? I don't care. Like,
do secrets help me kill people better?
Literally, that's exactly it. And
I was like, do secrets mean more guns?
Exactly. That's like.
Do secrets mean more blood?
I think I found a secret, like one of those letters or whatever. I'm like, if this is a secret, all right, I'm done. I don't need it. Like, move on. Like, not realizing that it's pretty important.
But I picked up a walrus mask.
Which one is that?
It's a hidden mask, and I picked it up like maybe level 5 or level 6. I think there's 19 levels in this game, but I picked up the walrus, which allows you to take 2 bullets.
Cuckoo-ca-choo.
Cuckoo-ca-choo.
Oh, I never used that one.
Yeah.
At all.
So you could take 2 bullets, not a shotgun shell, but you could take 2 little bullets.
Yeah. Mike? Which mask did you use?
So most of the game, when it was a level that I was having no issue with, I would play with the owl because I wanted to find all of the secrets.
Wow.
But on a level that I was having some amount of difficulty with, I would switch to the mask that would help me the most. So if there were a lot of dogs in the level, I'd wear the dog mask.
The dog mask I felt like provided a good chunk of like getting through a level.
You don't need to worry about the little doggos. They run over really excited when you're killing everyone around them.
Yeah,
but they do not attack you. Which
Wait,
is
do you
fantastic.
still kill the doggos?
Yeah, you have to.
No, don't kill the doggos.
And then, so I would switch to the tiger mask that allows you to kill anyone you punch once. That was fantastic in some early levels.
Oh my god, guys.
I would switch to the wolf mask, the one that gives you a knife when you start.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
It was great because you just you don't need to find a weapon. You just throw the knife at someone and then take whatever weapon they have.
I got a point there. So I just had a self-realization that I am exactly what the meme you guys have created is with guns. Because the mask, I was just thinking, like, what mask did I really use? It's the one that gives you double the bullets. And it wasn't me trying to do that. I just naturally was like, this is so convenient. And I just kept picking it.
The meme that we created of you.
Yeah, we
created this
Hey,
meme.
Mo, do you like guns?
Love
in games?
the guns. No, and it's funny. And Mike, I just want to touch up on that knife. That knife was the small little stubby one.
Yes.
I've never felt so much satisfaction launching it at someone like across the room and they're just toast, one shot.
Yeah.
The only thing that sucked is like if you did take someone down with that, the knife was gone. You couldn't really pick it up.
Yeah.
But that knife, and it was quick. You can stand at a doorway, and like if you caused aggro and people were coming at you, you can just slice and dice at a doorway as they're coming up to you.
I thought it was, so the game is split into two sections. Spoilers. The last section of the game, you get a guy who has a butcher knife as his weapon, and you can't pick up other weapons.
Yeah, it was tricky.
My thought was, with the butcher knife, if you threw that, that's gone if it kills someone.
Not if it hits a wall, you can go and pick it up.
Yes, but the knife, I thought you could go and pick the knife back up.
You can always go and pick it back up.
No.
Yes.
The small little knife?
Yes.
Yeah, the little one with the red handle or the orange handle.
So when I was getting back into this, I realized the early levels were I found pretty easy because I played this the whole game before. So I knew what to expect, and so I ended up trying to play the first few levels with only the knife, just throwing it at people, running, grabbing the knife, and then throwing it at the rest. And I tried to do a no gun playthrough for a few levels.
How'd that work?
It was a little bit frustrating, but it was also very rewarding.
Yeah, it's fun. Like sometimes I just use the bat or the katana if you ever get the
the
sword.
katana's so good.
As soon as you unlock it, because it's early on, it seems like a significant just weapon in like gaming, like a katana. You get it and you're like, hey, this shouldn't be here this early, but I'm okay with it.
I feel so bad with it.
Yeah, the one thing I want to touch on with those masks, so like you can't really switch until you only get to choose one is right before the mission starts. So if you do end up playing this game, you'll get to unlock all those masks, and you have to make that decision. This is the mask I'm rocking with this level. There were some times where I picked a mask, let's say the bullet one, and then I had tons of trouble with the dog.
Yeah, let's just say the bullet one.
Yeah, the one that gives you double the bullets that I only played with.
The Moe Mask.
The Moe Mask.
Mo bullets. Mo bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
Moe Mask, Mo bullets.
There's times I'd walk into a mid-level and I'm like, okay, this isn't like working for me. These dogs are chewing me alive, like literally. Where I'd exit out, restart the match, and then you can pick up a new mask and like kind of help yourself.
But it was very quick to just restart and pick a new mask.
Yeah, it was pretty.
But see, if the complex was multi-level, right? Because you have to go do difficult. Multiple floors. If floor 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4 is difficult, like I don't know about you, but I'm not gonna even though my mask isn't maybe perfectly equipped for that specific floor or specific building, I'm not gonna restart. Because
yeah, fair.
I'm really bad at video games, and I feel like that's part of why I didn't love Hotline Miami. Like I recognize.
Oh no!
Look,
I knew you alluded to this earlier, but I didn't think you would go that far as to say you didn't love it.
Look, I like it, but it doesn't for my taste. I don't like to be punished by a game. And look, this game when you die, it's your fault and it's fair, or most times it's fair.
It's always fair.
You know what, Jacob? One of the reasons why I was kind of nervous to play this game too is because I'm exactly that way in almost every game. Like I can't play those Mario World games. Like I can't, if I'm jumping, I get hit by a vine with teeth in it, and I'm dead. I'm uninstalling. I don't want to play this anymore. But for some reason in this game, it almost maybe it's because you had to have a strategy. There were some levels where you had to approach it one or two ways to kind of get through the first little bubble. Whether it be there's a guy with a gun and you have to wait till he turns around and then you have to run in really quick, or you have to wait till you find a gun or a sword or something. It kept me wanting to come back. It was the instant satisfaction of hey, I just cleared this level. That kept me going, which is weird because I'm usually never like that with games. I'm always oh, this is too hard. But I probably died hundreds of times in this game, but I just kept coming back because of the.
I think there's an achievement for dying 1,000 times.
Oh,
and I had that achievement from my last playthrough of the game.
Oh my god!
I'm really bad at video games, and this game is fair. There are games that are like punishing and sometimes unfair, and you get cheesed by the game is kind of what they call it. But like this game's fair. That doesn't mean that it doesn't like preclude my taste. Like I just didn't love it.
Yeah,
I recognize that it looks great, it feels great, it sounds great, but it's just not.
It wasn't for you.
No.
See, I have absolutely no issue with a game that beats the utter poop out of me if they make it very easy to get back in and try again.
Yep.
And through most of the game, my hand was hovering over the R button, which is to reload the mission, because I restarted missions or just sections of levels over and over and over when I had a perfect run in my head of like, I'm going to pop through this, I'm going to go through this door, I'm going to shoot this guy through the window, and then I'm going to walk back into this room and wait until everyone starts running through this door, and I'm just going to unload my machine gun, and then when I run out of the machine gun, I'm going to throw my weapon and knock a guy down, and then the remaining people that come through, I'm going to use the door to knock them over, and then I'm going to hop through and then just bash their heads.
You know what's crazy? You almost have to strategize too, because like when you get into a level, sometimes the multi-dimensional ones, when it tells you, hey, you've cleared this floor, go to the next one, you have to decide what weapon am I taking on with me. And that there's sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'll take a machine gun, but sometimes I was just like, you know what, just give me that small knife, I can do damage. I'll do some real. So it was
like cut someone.
I never really picked the most powerful weapon there. It was like, you know what, how am I feeling right now? Which is crazy, because like when you think about it in a normal game, think of a first person shooter. You're not walking in with a melee weapon. You're gonna wait till you find the best weapon in the game, and that's what you're going into a new location with.
Can we talk for a minute about how good it feels to kill someone in this game?
It's so
Am I
weird.
the only one? Am I a sociopath?
No.
Like, am I?
It's weird to say that as a well-adjusted human being.
It feels wrong to say it feels good to kill these people.
But you know what it is? It's almost,
it feels so good.
It's like so arcadey that it kind of almost doesn't seem like it. I don't know. It's weird. Like, I don't feel like I'm killing people, even though they're exploding, their heads are getting chopped off. But like, it's like that satisfaction of, I got you first. You didn't get me.
But think Robotron 2084. Like, you're essentially like the old arcade game Midway. It's just like it's a dual stick shooter, 8 positions, you just shoot. Like, essentially it's the same thing, but because of the ultra violence, you're like, yo, am I a bad person? Because this is real satisfying.
It feels really good.
Like, for example, like Spec Ops The Line, when we played that, when you made those moral decisions of shooting like civilians or shooting people, those you're like, I feel bad about this, but you're literally just shooting one round into someone. Whereas in this one, there's especially that one level where you're going into that office and everyone's they have no weapons on them and they're scared of you. Like, and you can just
when you're playing as the biker.
Yeah, later on in the game, like they pose no threat, but like it's almost like you had that adrenaline. I just took everyone down.
Also, at that point, you're conditioned to walk into these rooms and just murder.
Don't ask
everyone.
questions. Just kill everyone.
Just murder.
Yeah. So it's like it's weird. Like this game, I don't know if it's like maybe it is the music, the gameplay, like the fact that people are coming at you and you're like survival mode and trying to accomplish a mission, where it kind of brings down that level of like guilt, I guess. But like I don't know, it's weird. It makes you feel weird.
The thing, one of the things that I think makes killing someone in this game feel so good is the sound effects.
150%.
The sound effects are so satisfying. The crunch of breaking glass, of the sound of shooting the bullet, and then hearing like the soft splash of hitting the guy's skull or chest, wherever you end up hitting them, because you don't see it for the most part. You just, your imagination takes over.
It's implied, so you're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and the sound effects just give it another level. And it feels really good.
Yeah, and it's weird. It sounds weird. Jacob's like, you guys are all murdering.
No,
but
I'm
like,
not being judgmental. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's so strange, and you can only experience it if you play it. Like if you play, you're gonna see exactly what we mean. It's not like a traditional. You don't feel bad because it's so like arcadey and like not obnoxious, but like it's over the top. Like you're slicing and dicing. They're splattering across an entire floor.
It's funny because Devolver Digital, who's the publisher of this one, before they published this one, they published a Serious Sam game. So it seems very apt for them to be like, oh, we did Serious Sam before this, and then we're going to publish this game too. Did you try playing it with the sound off at all?
Never.
No. I love the music. I love the...
So I did that because I had 2 levels left, and I wanted to. I was listening to a podcast, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to finish this podcast. I have 2 levels left to finish. I've already played through this game once. Let's see what it's like with the sound off."
Yeah.
It's not. No, don't do that.
No, yeah.
Keep the sound on.
Yeah.
Get the subwoofer going. Do not play it with the sound off.
The music in this game is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
When I loaded this back up, it brought me right back to 2012, like in a way that I was not expecting. I was not prepared, and like we all have kind of different tastes in music, but in 2012 I was listening to like Sun Ra and Moon and Perturbator, and like this stuff
those are 3 artists that are on this soundtrack,
and it hit me in a way at the right time. Like I was probably not in a good mental state at the time, and the music it felt so good. And it just listening to it now brought me right back to that 2012.
How would you explain it? Like what genre is like house, like deep house? I don't know.
So I would describe it as
like,
kind of trance music in a way. It's very dark, ambient. Is kind of what I would look for if I was looking for tags along that line. A
lot of whoop.
It's definitely electronic. It definitely has a driving beat. I don't know what the exact genre would be. I know in that era I was listening to a lot of stuff that would be like considered dark wave, dark ambient music, things like that. But yeah, I just absolutely love the music in this game. It is such a driving force. I cannot imagine, like when you said, Jacob, that you played those last few levels without
you made
the music,
a face at me.
I had a gut reaction, and it was just like, I know deep down, like you can't play this game without the music. The music's such an integral part of the experience.
Yeah, and it's like if you take away the music, the game is lost. If you take away like the graphicness, the game is lost. If you take away like
the tight controls,
the game is lost.
Yeah.
It's like everything just comes together so well. And the craziest part in that documentary they were mentioning, like when they were nominated, I think for best game. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong.
Game of the Year.
Yeah, they gave every single nominee, I guess, a booth at the award show, and they were standing next to Mass Effect. And Mass Effect, they're saying, is like a 300-person team, the developers for that game. And meanwhile, they had just a couple guys.
It's
that
just 2 people.
Just sitting there in the booth like, hello, like, nice to meet you. Which is, it's pretty sweet to think. Like, they brought, there's people clawing tooth and nail, departments, management, hierarchies, like, clawing away to say, hey, how can we get products to consumers? Let's make something cool. What's trendy? These guys are like, let's make something for us. We like it, and it just exploded. The rest of the world and millions of people jumped on board and liked it as well.
Yeah, because Soderstrom made tons of like little flash games under the alias Cactus for a long time. So if you go like look up Cactus games, like there's a lot of like, I would call them like strange prototype, like just little things you could play, and this was one of them that they were developing. This game is absolutely the epitome of better than the sum of its parts.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But I would also add that like each one of the parts individually are fantastic. Like it feels good to shoot the weapons in this game. It feels good to slice someone with that knife. It feels good to listen to the music. It looks fantastic. Like I know in subsequent years I've seen throughout the internet just fan art for Hotline Miami in a way that you don't see for most games, let alone indie games. Just stylized versions of the different main characters, specifically Richard. A lot of, roosters wearing jackets.
Yeah. Jacket was in Payday the Heist or Payday 2. Yeah, he was a DLC character in that one, which is super cool.
That's really interesting.
I've played Payday 2, and I didn't realize it until you said that.
Don't know if it's Payday 1 or Payday 2.
I think it's 2, because 2 has a huge community, and like people are still playing it. It's been out for so long. It's still a good game, too. Payday 2 is pretty good. I want to throw a wrench in it. What didn't you guys like? Because we're way too high up on this game. Let's be real. Is there anything that you didn't like? Because I'll bring one up right now. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bring it up.
Story.
The story.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you know what? It's like...
It's nonlinear.
It's
out of sequence.
Yeah,
is it? Explain the story to me. I don't understand.
Okay.
Like, I get it's a revenge plot. I get it. It's a revenge. Like,
is it a revenge plot?
So here's my thing. I don't understand the meta layer that's on top of this game because it's like, is this a game? Should you be enjoying this? Is it violence? Like, that's probably the meta layer.
That's definitely a theme of the game.
But like the actual in the game story is you are being used by someone to kill the Russian mob in 1989 Miami. You keep getting these phone calls that they're like, hey, why don't you come and pick up your dry cleaning and like clean up while you're here? Clean up, kill all the people. But you go and you end up meeting a woman who's a prostitute. You take her to your house. You end up like bringing her back to life or bringing her to health. She ends up exactly. She becomes what I assume is your girlfriend, and then she gets killed.
Yeah. And
then it's a revenge plot to be like, you killed my girlfriend, I'm gonna kill you now.
Do you want to know what I thought it was?
What?
Because like I kept after playing To the Moon and like talking about dreams and all that, I found that it was convenient that every time you started a mission, you were like starting it from the bedroom.
Oh, very interesting. Though.
Yeah, so you're starting it from the bedroom, and you're always walking to the phone, answering phone calls. And at the very end of each mission, when you go meet the guy that keeps like saying, "Hey, have you heard what's going on in the news? There's murderers everywhere." Mm-hmm. That's always the last thing you see, and then you wake up again. So I'm like, he's definitely dreaming or like out cold or something.
You know what I thought that was for the longest time? You would go to the store or the VHS place, and I thought that you were picking up money. He'd be like, "Oh, just get something on the house," and that was his way of being like, "Oh yeah,
that could have been it.
Go get this money." Maybe everything is bugged and tapped around me. Why don't you just go pick up a VHS tape? Wink, wink.
Everything
it's full of money.
Code. Everything was in code.
Exactly.
We've got a problem at the phone department. Go see if you can, clear out the lines. Mm-hmm. So this game, in my reading of it, is very clearly. So there are these sort of dream sequences that you have throughout the game, where you walk into a room that is your apartment. And you have a conversation with 3 of these animal masks in Jacket's, I assume, body. And so there's Richard, the rooster, standing right in front of you. And then there's the horse. And I'm blanking on what the other animal is. But they're on either side. And, at the beginning, Richard, the rooster, asks you, 4 questions. The first one is, do you enjoy killing people? He asks you a bunch of other questions. Mm-hmm.
Who's leaving messages on your answering machine? Right. Where are you right now? Why are you having this conversation?
And those are very clearly directed at the player of the game. It's very much like it's directed at the player of the game and less the character Jacket. And so one of the things you find out as you play, specifically because they add dates, is that most of this is you reliving these memories of things that have happened in the past. Because there's the moment where after finishing talking in your dream state to Richard and the other animal masks, you go into the other room, and the bedroom across the hall is you in a bed. And then Jacket's head explodes at the revelation of this, and you wake up in a hospital where the police officer is talking to the doctor saying, when is this guy? Is he going to come out of this coma? When is he coming out? We need him. He's part of a very big investigation. He's a prime suspect. He's part of this. We need him. Why aren't you doing more? And so to me, that seriously implies that most of the game up until that point had been won through an unreliable narrator. Ultimately someone who's telling the story from their perspective, and you can't quite trust that they're getting all of the facts correctly. And 2, it's someone who's reliving some of this past trauma, some of the things that they've experienced in their coma. And then after that moment where Jacket's head explodes and you wake up in the bed, that's back to the reality of the situation.
Okay.
Where you have a really tough time getting out of the hospital, sneaking out. And that's when it shifts to the biker character, who has a very different take on the fight that you had. The first time you play through the game and you face off with the biker character, he's essentially the first boss that you face off against.
Is he? Oh, he is.
He's either the first or the second. And the way that you interpret it is, that you've killed him, that you kill the biker and you move on. But when you wake out of that coma and you're in that situation and you face the biker again, in this time you're playing as the biker and you face against Jacket and you end up killing him. And so both situations can't be true. So one or both are unreliable narrators.
I was so confused. Like when I was doing that portion, when you had to fight Jacket again, I'm like, I feel like I did this before, but because for me, I was playing it almost as like an arcade game where every mission was separate from the other almost. And I didn't really follow.
Did you read anything?
There was one part actually I want to bring up
because I kept playing through this and was reading stuff. I'm like, Mo's not going to read.
I did, but I didn't get anything from it. Like I read most of that. There's one thing I regretted not reading. This is almost like I guess a spoiler for this main story, but the janitor when he's in your house, I think you go up to him. There's like a bubble that popped up, but I clicked like way too fast and it disappeared. And then,
I don't think that he said anything. I think he was just monitoring you. If I'm understanding that correctly,
there was the very next mission after he's in your apartment. You see him at the actual in the level itself. It was kind of, I'm assuming it was like a little Easter egg because if you like crawled outside of the building and like followed outside of a window, you can go into another window and see him in a room. And he's like, oh, hey, like he says another thing back to you, but I couldn't connect exactly what was going on. Did you guys see the janitor guy?
Yeah. So you guys got to the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the game, you find out that the janitors who have been giving you these smirks and smiles and the only people that you're not killing in these buildings are the ones running this giant conspiracy, this scam. And they're the ones running the phone lines and sending out these messages to people and commanding them to go and commit these murders. Do you remember the name of the group? The 50 Blessings, something along those lines?
No, I didn't. I'm just like, what is happening?
Okay.
Who are these guys? And then I just killed them. I'm like, oh, that's the second credits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you find out that the janitors are running the whole show, but it doesn't explain anything more. I think it's less. I think what you're intended to do is spend less time thinking about the story of Jacket and more time thinking about the questions that Richard poses to you. And essentially, the questions, the first one being, do you enjoy killing people? Because I think on some level this game is having people who play games where the vast majority of games involve character-on-character combat where the player is killing or dominating another force, having them come face-to-face with the fact that, like, don't you think it's really kind of screwed up that you're really enjoying doing this? That, like, the game that you're drawn to is not only where you're murdering people, but you're senselessly murdering them. And not only are you senselessly murdering
You're
them,
not questioning it at all.
Not only questioning, you're violently murdering them. It's not like you're John Wick where you're coming in and just as efficiently as possible cleaning out a room. Mm-hmm. You're going in there and, pressing a guy's eyes into a skull. You're slitting someone's throat with a little blade.
You're killing doggos.
You're killing the doggos.
John Wick would never kill a doggo.
You would not. That's a very good point. You're taking billiards cues and then stabbing people with them after you've broken it over their head. Like, it's visceral, it's violent, it's very, very strong.
Okay, so throughout the game, as you go through the chapters, it starts very, I don't want to say clean, but like your memories seem clean, the scenarios seem like very cut and dry, you don't question anything, but as you go through, there are people that start appearing that have either like lost their eye or like their brains are out of their head and they're still talking.
And that's when I thought it was a dream.
That's after your buddy Beard says, hey, I've got to tell you something. None of this is real.
And then at VHS, like...
Yeah, you get that static.
And then it just goes right back to normal, being like, hey, buddy, do you hear about that crazy stuff? Grab anything you like. It's on the house.
And he's like, here, let me prove it to you. And the dead biker who you had killed previously, who's laying right next to him, after he says, let me prove it to you, his body disappears. And you're just sitting there like, what is going on? And so on some level, it made me think, okay, is this about mental illness? Is your character actually, schizophrenic? Because there are multiple characters that you're seen talking to. A lot is indicated that, some of these people don't actually exist. Are these phone calls actually your phone ringing, or is this the way that some of the voices in your head are speaking to you?
And I guess some of that would make sense when you think back and say, when I was in the hospital, which was a completely different game, like the feel of the game was way different. Mm-hmm. They took everything from you. Mm-hmm. If you walked too far in the hospital everything would freeze, you'd stop, and you'd get a huge headache. And then what else?
Really tough to control in the hospital.
You had to like conserve your energy. You had like bursts. I just maxed it out. I ran as fast as I could until it stopped, and I got like a little pattern going where I was like, you know what? I can go all the way up to here, and the second you get to consciousness again, sprint to this location because you only have a little bubble of space where you can kind of get through that hospital level. Because in that one, you just have to avoid lines of sight. You have no weapons, but you have to escape. You have no weapons, and you're trying to escape lines of sight throughout the entire level. Yeah,
but then there's other stuff too, like I mentioned before, that stuff where people are just, half dead and they're still talking. Purple cats? Are purple cats a thing, the final boss? I mean, that doesn't matter to me, that's just me, but is this game closer to Spec Ops The Line, or is this closer to something like the Stanley Parable? Like, is this thematically, or what it's trying to do, closer to Spec Ops or Stanley Parable? Or is it close to none? Because I hadn't heard the mental illness argument at all. And that's very interesting. I've not heard that one at all.
Yeah, and mind you, I don't know much about schizophrenia. I don't know much about that.
But the masks, that would make a lot of sense.
It's a surface level reading that I have.
Yeah, into it. And based off like just seeing the guy, the developers and designers, I didn't even know if they went in that deep. I think they're just like, hey, let's put on different masks and.
Oh, so there are a couple of things. One half of the team. He had talked about in his experience making the game, he had gone through a bad breakup, and that breakup had done some really bad things to him, which is one of the reasons why the girlfriend subplot is in there, where you rescue the girl, she's kind of nursed back to health, she becomes your girlfriend, and then she's murdered. In fact, if I remember correctly, he had said that there was a period where he was institutionalized, and that's where he was creating a bunch of the sprites.
Yeah, all the art for the game.
Which says quite a bit, I think, for the tone. The tone has a very dark and menacing vibe.
Yeah.
Which also, I saw in an interview with Moon, he said a very similar thing. He was very young at the time, and he was in a bad place, and that's where that's when he had made the music, and it was very dark and sinister and menacing and melancholic, and that's a lot of what comes through in the aesthetic and the feel of the game.
And didn't he also mention that the girlfriend subplot, there's changes that start to come in the apartment? And that's also part of what he said. He's like, I had this girlfriend, like I was living like a bachelor, and then she started to bring things in slowly and kind of start to mature my sensibilities a little bit and add things to my apartment that a man should probably have.
You can definitely see, it's one of my favorite aspects of the game, and it's so little and it's easy to not notice. But at the beginning, your apartment is just a mess. It's like a pigsty. And then as the longer that she's there, you see your apartment starts getting cleaner. You see like it's more organized. You see the beds have gone from not being made to now they're made. And then the beds go from being separated to pushed together. And so it honestly, it was something I noticed and thought was a nice little touch. But it didn't drive home a real connection with her as a character, because I was so desensitized to the murder and the vicious murder that when she as a character dies, it didn't really strike me as something that was too insane. At the most, I felt a little bit violated that there was someone with a mask who was doing what I was doing in my apartment.
With the girlfriend portion, well, I didn't even think it was a girlfriend. I thought it was just like a mooch that was like staying at the house. Like I thought she was just in rough shape, and like you're kind of just giving her like a place to kind of stay. And she was like, because like there's some parts where you'd come home and she's I think puking in the sink or something. Or
I didn't see her puking. I thought she was just
naked in
there.
front of the sink.
Oh, I assumed because like she was like a...
And they never do say that she's your girlfriend.
Yeah.
But they're little things that imply it.
Okay.
Like the fact,
I missed it completely.
Yeah, like the fact that you check your messages in front of her, which is, I don't know about you guys, I don't check my messages in front of most people.
What kind of messages are you sending, Michael?
You never know, Mo.
Give me that phone. Give me that phone.
No, never.
We're gonna read your DMs in the podcast right now.
No, his BlackBerry Messenger stuff, because that's where the bad stuff is. It's encrypted.
No, it's funny. Like I didn't think about that girlfriend storyline at all. I thought it was just like you got to this portion and now she's just kind of living in your house. But it makes sense. Like the house does get a little tidied up, and maybe there was more that I just didn't notice. It's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Richard's second question is, who's calling you? And like, so the first question is like, do you enjoy killing people. And you know, as your character, after the first mission, you don't enjoy killing people because you get violently ill after you kill the hobo and complete the mission. But after that, it seems like you enjoy it. And like, obviously, those questions are posed more at the person playing the game than the character jacket. The second question being, who's calling you? Who's giving you these messages? And I think the answer is like, ultimately, it doesn't matter. You're just following orders, which kind of brings me back to the Bioshock Stanley Parable type
unreliable narrator. No, what is that called? Is that unreliable narrator?
Unreliable narrator is just, you can't trust the story that's being told. But the Bioshock Stanley Parable thing is more about game design, and that, you know, they set up artifice of, you're doing this for a reason and we're giving you choice, but in reality, you're on a very linear path with all of these things that you have to do if you want to progress. And you can't make real choice because real choice doesn't exist in a game that is tightly designed and organized and pathed for you. So I think that's ultimately like the answer to the second question that it gives you. And that's really what I get out of the story. It's less about what's actually happening, how it's pieced together.
And I thought the first question's pretty obvious, but is it the first? The last three questions I thought were just rhetorical.
What are the last three?
The last three are, who is leaving you messages, where are you, and why are we having this conversation? The last two are definitely rhetorical, but I had thought that the second question, who's leaving messages on your answer, I thought it was rhetorical.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the last two are pretty rhetorical. It's just like, think about why you're here. It's all a dream.
Right. It reminded me of The Matrix.
Well, see, again, in that situation of think about why you're here, that's less a question for Jacket, and it's more about, it's prompting the player of the game to think about, why am I in these kind of dream sequences? Is this a dream? What purpose do these serve, and what are the roles of these characters in the game?
Because there's no setup to the game. There's zero. It's just like, here's Miami. It's March.
You're given a phone call. They tell you failure will not be tolerated. You go and collect the package that they give you, and there's a rooster mask. And they give you instructions to go in and kill everyone and get this briefcase and drop it in this trash can. And as you're doing that, there's a hobo there, and you murder him because he's upset.
He saw you.
You're upset because he's upset that you're there, and you get violently ill. And it just keeps bringing it back to the fact that, like, you should not be okay with this amount of violence.
But you so are. It's so good.
Yeah, it honestly, it didn't give me the conflict internally that I had when I was younger playing this game. But now when I play this game, I am unsettled by how much I enjoyed the violence. Like, there was some primal, beastly aspect of me that was just so satisfied murdering these pixels. And it's probably something I'm going to have to think about a bit more and do some more self-reflection. But boy, can I say how good it felt.
It was a good
use
game.
Some of these weapons and to just splatter some brains across the room.
Yeah, because when did you play this game for the first time? Because you and when it came out.
Yeah,
okay.
and it was one of those very few games that I buy at launch. I've rarely been someone to buy games at launch because games get discounted so quickly, because it's such a competitive marketplace out there, that I don't mind waiting a month or two and not having to pay the new game tax. And yeah, I bought this at launch because I was so entranced with the style of it and the music. To hear music that I liked and was listening to hear it in a game was just
because you would have been like in college. You would have been starting. So yeah, because I was a little bit older when I played it. So I played it maybe 4 years ago. So I was like 20, like in my mid 20s. But still, I didn't give it any thought. I just like took the game at face value, and I'm just like,
video games.
Video games. This game was originally called Cocaine Cowboys, right? So I'm just like, oh, cool. This is like, I don't know, drugs in Miami in the 80s. Okay, I'm going to kill things. But I gave it zero thought beyond like, hey, this is a video game.
Yeah.
But now I have, and I feel like that's your fault.
I'm sorry.
You know what? I played it like how you played it the first time. Like right now, I just took it at face value. This is fun. Let's just go. I love the music. It's a cool little puzzle challenge. And I saw it just as that, a game of just puzzles. Mm-hmm. It almost like...
There is a puzzle mode too.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
For me, it was just like the strategy of like trying to get through some levels in like a certain way. Like there's some times where like you did, I just took a melee weapon and tried to get through the level just with a melee weapon. Or sometimes like, no, this is really too tricky. Let me just see if I can use a gun. But it was, for me, it was like I didn't really dive into that storyline at all. It was just like, this is satisfying challenge after challenge after challenge. Yeah, you're killing, but I didn't dive deeper than that. I was just like, I'm really just, each death of a pixelated guy was just like, okay, that's just mission accomplished. It's total soldier mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
But nothing more than that. But now that you guys are talking about it, maybe I am a little...
desensitized to violence.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm like guns is because of...
You know, one thing I didn't love though, the doors. Can we talk about the doors?
I love them.
I know
feel
why
like
you
they never worked my way.
I hear you.
I use the horse mask quite a bit.
Doors are lethal.
Doors are lethal.
Yeah.
It was just great to shoot a gunshot, so they would run towards the door, and then you just crush them with the door, and then you step back, and you shoot another gunshot, not at anyone, just so that way it draws people near, and then you use the door to kill them.
I've shot at walls opposite of people just to let them come out of their door and just like...
Yeah. You could also shoot the doors and knock them out if your timing is pretty perfect.
Yeah.
So like, I just found the doors didn't, because sometimes if you walk through them, they kind of bounce back a little bit.
They
and almost
swivel
like,
back,
they swivel back and almost half close. Like, I'm nitpicking at this point. Like, this is a good game. Like, but the doors,
they sometimes do work for your favor.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a coin
I
flip
use them
almost.
at cover in a lot of cases too.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things, like with the doors, like a lot of the times, is like, especially if it's a small room, my favorite like type of kill, I guess, to do is you grab a blunt weapon, a golf club or a baseball bat, and there's been some times where the room has 3 people with weapons, and I just run in super fast and just swing like a wild man, take them all out, and I'm like, yes, well, baseball bat defeated everyone.
Yes.
Oh man.
What were your ratings like in the game? Because there's a rating system.
Yeah, you get like a grade school, like A, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
I was a C student, I think, throughout the game.
100%. I was also a C student.
Yeah.
Mike?
So the first half of the game, I was an A student. Second half of the game, I was a C student.
And that's because, like, what makes you go down in the ratings? Is it using guns?
I don't know what makes you go down.
I think it was like combos is the biggest thing. It's like continuously getting kills, and you'll build a stack, and that will get you more points. Because if you look at it at the end, it's like awesome, great, and it's like it's calculating almost all of your combos. I could be completely wrong.
You nailed it.
But that's what I'm...
Because in the first half of the game, I found it much easier to just plan my perfect walkthrough and figure out how to chain kill with kill to create an ongoing combo. And to switch up weapon use, so you get less points if you use the same weapon over and over. So I was figuring out how I could play through a mission, either like continuously switching weapons and chaining kills and combos. Whereas when I was at the end of the game, mind you, I played the whole game today. I was trying to get through. I was just trying to finish in the end. So I was caring much less about comboing everything and having a perfect run through and changing up what weapons I was using. I just needed to get through.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend playing the game? How would you recommend playing the game?
Mouse and keyboard. Okay. I don't know how the savage over here did it with a controller.
Yeah, but you know what? I'd say with a controller. I haven't played with mouse and keyboard, so I can't vouch, but and in terms of how to play in terms of timing, it's probably the perfect game if you get it on sale, or even if you don't get it on sale, it's worth it.
It's on Steam sale right now.
Perfect.
$3.
Yeah, it's the best game to just have installed. It's a small game, so it doesn't take up much storage space. And if you have a 10-minute break, or you want to just play something really quick, you can literally just pop in one level. It'll take you 10-15 minutes, and it's that's done. The storyline is so kind of weird that you don't really need to pay attention to it, I guess. It doesn't really... That's the only thing that doesn't really
It's not necessary.
Value. Yeah.
You don't need to pay attention to the story to enjoy the gameplay elements of it. It's not like Braid.
Yeah, and I think if you play one level, it's going to be that game where you're going to have installed, you're going to finish it at your own pace, but you will finish it. I don't think... I'd be hard-pressed to find someone, I'm assuming there's going to be someone, but someone that's going to play 1 or 2 levels and say, oh, you know what, it's not my game. I think you play 1 or 2 missions and you're like, okay,
you'll know.
Yeah, I'll finish this. I'll keep going.
Do I like the combat chess that this game presents, or like is it not my thing?
Yeah,
it's a good way to put it. Combat chess.
I would also say like I would also agree, do not play this game in one sitting. I played it in 2 sittings, and like someone was yelling from the other room because I kept like dropping F-bombs because I'm not very good at games. I'm like, they're like, what's going on in there? What are you doing? I'm playing a hard video game. Get off my back,
Mom.
And I think
what's it to you, Mom?
No, I played like 6 sittings or so, and it was very, very satisfying playing all those many times. I think people will like it if they haven't tried it out. I keep talking so highly of it, but I can't emphasize it enough. I had a great time with it. I think anyone would love to play this game.
Mo, you don't know how giddy I was every time I saw on Discord that you were playing Hotline Miami. I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
I knew that you were gonna love it because there were weapons everywhere.
Yeah. So in addition to like playing multiple sittings, if you don't love like difficult games, like this game is fair, but it is difficult. It's hard.
So I'm almost like
there's
you.
no difficulty sliders at all.
Yeah, I have trouble with hard games, but I don't know. This one seems like it's because each bad guy is one shot away from dying. There's no except for those big bulky.
But you are also one shot from dying.
Yeah, and the levels are just long enough where like if you do lose, it'll bring you back to a reasonable location where you can like come back again, and you'll have muscle memory. You'll know exactly how to approach that level because it really doesn't change. The guys are moving around in a kind of a similar way, but like I don't know, it is hard. You're gonna die multiple times, but it's not like it doesn't punish you and say, oh, you know, this is way too hard. Uninstall like Braid.
Yeah, I guess my approach was wrong because like I would brute force something until like I would almost get it right. Or
you were
like
the definition of insanity.
Yeah,
doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
100%. And then I would try it maybe 100 times, and I'd be like, okay, maybe this doesn't work. But like I would beat my head against it, like trying it the same way until, and maybe that's a me problem, but like. I liked it. You guys loved it. It's a good. I recognize it's a good. Recognize real. It's a good video game.
Okay.
Not my cup of tea.
Gotcha.
Liked it. You guys loved it.
Yeah.
See, I feel like now I can get Mo to play Super Meat Boy.
I don't think so, man. I gave it. I think I've played it. I think I put like 5 or 10 minutes in, and I was like, "This is way too hard." And that's a game where it's like it's way too hard, and I'm not interested anymore.
We'll get you there, Mo.
Travis, who has been on a past podcast, is playing Super Meat Boy on the Switch right now. So maybe that's something you can get him on.
Fantastic.
Oh.
Fantastic. And you too.
Maybe. We'll see.
Nah, we'll see.
So that's the show. Mo, if people have questions, comments, concerns, things that they want to mention, where can they voice those?
Oh, give us a shout directly at questions@leftbehindgame.club. All questions asked will be answered on the podcast. We'll give you a quick little shout out. And if you want to join the discussion, feel free to join our Discord server. Link is also on the website. That's leftbehindgame.club. You'll see a quick little shiny button that says join the Discord and jump on board. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, you can chat with us as we're playing the game, see some of the hot game deals that we're posting in there, and occasionally giving out free keys. And so, Mo, where can the people find you at?
You can find me at Murtadi, almost across the board, all social media platforms.
Jacob, where can people find you at?
I'm back on social media, so at Jacob McCourt on Earth.
Fantastic. You're alive. You're a human being.
Hello.
Yelling into the void.
Internet.
And you can find me at Ruffolo M across the web. And that, my friends, is one less game left behind.